Hello and welcome to another edition of The One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Kyle, and we are live from LA.
With special guest, Todd Lewis of The Free Kick.
Three-time guest. Well, actually, now it's 4.
Yeah, I think Todd has the most appearances now.
Let's go. So, real excited here. We've had some great conversations, folks. If you haven't, check out Todd. We just had a great interview. Todd, if you want to touch on that real quick, who we just interviewed.
Yeah, we had Thomas Granmark on, the throwing coach that's most notably with Liverpool, spent 5 seasons there, spent a year with the Union, 3 separate occasions in 2022. So we talked all things throw-ins, his time at the club, and just a really, really great conversation that you guys definitely don't want to miss.
Yeah, so that will be out soon. So one of the things really want to touch on today is we've talked a lot about the era of this Philadelphia Union squad from probably 2019 to 2023. So I want to sit down today, kind of do a little experiment and talk about everybody's top 10 Union players during this quote-unquote era of the Philadelphia Union. But before we get started, just a quick question, and Todd, I want to start with you. How has this era of the Philadelphia Union, made you really appreciate the run they're on, given the history of the club, appreciate the past more, and finally, be wary of the future?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're always wary of the future just because of what the past looked like for so many years, with just bleak season after bleak season. And then, the last 5 years, you get the most points in MLS. And I know I'm repeating myself like Jim Curtin does, but I guess there is something to it, right? You're a club that's spending in the top 5% lowest teams in MLS, and you're getting the most out of the players that you do have. So, I mean, there is something for that, but, during this 5-year stretch, you only have 1 trophy, and Supporter Shield trophy during the COVID year. And, we give New York City fans a lot of stick for, well, it's an asterisk next to it because you beat a Union team that had COVID in 2021. Well, it was a shortened season in 2020. So it's like, people can say the same thing about us, right? But, I mean, the Union were fantastic in 2020, and you just wish that they would have won more trophies during this run of 5 years, and of course it makes you panic a little bit. What's the future going to look like now? But the one thing we do know is Kai Wagner's back. The core group of players are still at this club, and that's massive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, for me, really started following the club in 2019, and for you too, Jillian, I just really appreciate of that when we look at all these stats, all the data, all these high watermarks that the Union are hitting. It's one of those lessons of just enjoy the moment. I know I said that last year a lot in 2022, like, enjoy the ride we're on, because we may never see this ride. But I think I give hope in the sense that we are, like you said, bringing this core group back. As I said yesterday, our defensive spine is back at least for next year. That gives me hope for the future. But also appreciative of where the Union have come from in such a short amount of time when you look at some of the other clubs. Now, you can say something like LAFC has been around shorter and look what they've done. But, yeah, I think for where the Union have come from, it's very good.
Listen, I am a long-suffering Philadelphia sports fan, 5 for 5, okay? I have been through the highs and the lows and suffered through about a decade of very bad Phillies, okay? I saw them have that run from like about 2007 till about 2011 or so, where they were phenomenal. And then not so much. And so to me, it's kind of like, well, yeah, I am going to enjoy it while I can. And 2022 was just magical, honestly, right. Until that season ended. But, like, there was that time where, like, all 5 of the teams were, like, awesome. We were so full of hope. And to an extent, in 2023, we experienced some of that, too. where the Eagles were on their run, the Phillies were going, they were in the playoffs, and the Union were, doing well. They could have been a little bit better, but still there was a lot of hope there. We were going to the playoffs and all that, okay? So we've experienced a lot of that, and yeah, I'm just enjoying it while we can, and I hope it continues, and, we do still have a lot of our pieces there. So there's no reason why we can't, but we still need to keep improving those weaknesses.
Correct. So let's get into this top 10 list. All of us don't know each other's top 10, so this is going to be a fun exercise. Todd, let's start off with you. What is your top 10 list?
Ooh. So we're just going from 10 to 1, or what do we do?
Yeah, let's go 10 to 1. Let's start off with number 10, finish at your top.
I think I'm going to go with 10, Brenden Aaronson. I think, honestly, might be a little bit of a hot take. And it's something that I wrestled with, but you look at the amount of appearances that Brendan's had, and let's not forget, Brenden Aaronson's first season was in 2019 with the Union. And during that 2019 season, who did the Union sign? They signed Marco Fabian, and they gave him a DP deal. There's a player that was not a star, but he's a well-known player with the Mexican national team who was at Frankfurt prior to being with the Union. And Brenden Aaronson takes advantage of a Marco Fabian red card and takes his spot. Mm-hmm. And he's a kid that has never played professional soccer in the first team level prior to 2019. And he takes that spot away from Marco Fabian. So I would say Brenden Aaronson, and just like, and you can argue the Union really still haven't found a replacement for Brenden Aaronson, the pressing that he did,
nope.
The dribbling ability that he had, the passing ability that he had. And maybe this team still lacks somebody like Brenden that was confident taking players on 1v1. The next player at number 9 is a player that I thought the Union had who could replace Brenden Aaronson if he wanted to play the 8, but he wanted to play the 10 position, and that's Jamiro Montero. I mean, the dribbling ability of Jamiro, the passing ability, didn't have the strongest outside of the box shooting ability, but his 1v1 ability was phenomenal with the Union. How can you not mention a player like Jamiro Montero? Played 75 games with the club, 9 goals, 21 assists. A really, really solid player there. The first couple years of this quote-unquote era that the Union were in, and it made sense for the Union to move on from Jamiro because, again, Jamiro wanted to play the 10. Daniel Gazdag is the 10 the Union wanted to bring in, and the Union got a great amount of GAM for Jamiro from San Jose, and then, there's all the rumors that, Jamiro wants to leave because his family can't come into the country and everything, and I hear all that. Then you hear reports, there was a dust-up in the locker room, but, if we just focus on what Jamiro did on the field, fantastic player. Number 8, I would say Jacob Glesnes. Jacob's been phenomenal with Union. We all know his free kick ability, but his leadership, he's a rock back there defensively for this team, and there's not been many better center backs in MLS. I mean, he's a former Defender of the Year in MLS, been in, a Team of the Season list too. I mean, a fantastic center back. I would put Jack Elliott as number 7. You could flip-flop them, put Jacob ahead of Jack, but I just think it's incredible. A 4th-round draft pick out of West Virginia University. Those guys don't pan out, especially in today's day and age, and here's Jack Elliott still producing in MLS, and him and Jacob Glesnes are one of the 2 best pairings we've seen in MLS in the center back position here the last 5 years. So I put Jack Elliott there. 6, Alejandro Bedoya. His leadership, what he does, offensively with getting assists, the runs that he makes on set pieces. He's been a phenomenal player for the Union. Yeah, I mean, only 22 goals, but 22 goals, I would argue, from a midfielder isn't terrible, especially the formation that the Union play. And Ale was on some terrible Union teams when he first got at the club, so it's like, he could have benefited a lot more in the goal scoring department, I feel like, if he were surrounded by better players early on in his Union career. But Alejandro at 6. Number 5, Daniel Gazdag, fantastic player. I mean, this season he's going to break the all-time goal scorer list. He's 10 off of Sebastian Letou. give him a couple more penalties, and yeah, he'll get there in no time. There's not much to say about Daniel Gaz. Like a phenomenal number 10, a phenomenal signing for the Union. Number 4, I would argue Jillian Carranza is up there on that list. He's scored 14 goals, I think it is. First 2 seasons in each season with the Union. A phenomenal player. I mean, look at my goal-scoring list. I mean, he's fantastic. He is the Union's best goal scorer on this team. It doesn't matter where he's at on the field. You always feel like he's going to be a threat to put the ball in the back of the net, and we've seen that the last 2 seasons with Julian. Number 3, Jose Martinez. Outstanding. I would argue the best defensive midfielder in MLS. You add the goals that he scored last year.
Yep.
3 goals. I mean, who had Jose Martinez scoring goals? So, yeah, Jose Martinez 3, Andre Blake number 2. I mean, where would this team be without Andre? Phenomenal goalkeeper. He's up there with the best, if not the best in MLS. And then number 1, Kai Wagner. He's been the guy for me. I mean, whether it be on set pieces, whether it be, creating chances. Look at what he did last year for this team where everybody had a down year. Kai Wagner gets a well-deserved contract extension because of his play on the field. And just seeing the steps that Kai's taken the last 2 years defensively with this team, it's been a joy watching Kai and this team, and Union fans get to enjoy him for a few more years now here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is a great list, and honestly, I think you're going to see some similarities for me. But so number 10, I have Mark McKenzie. Just what he has gone and done after being with the Union, I think has been huge. Number 9, I have Jack Elliott, and his defense, of course, is a big reason why we do as well as we do. And also, he would have been the MLS Cup MVP had
yes, those things not happened.
Things had not happened. I mean, what a game he had. But he is just been phenomenal. And I also have to mention, Jack Elliott, the person, is also awesome. Yeah. So shout out to everything he does. Number 8, I have Brendan Aronson. Okay. Again, pretty much what has been said, but obviously I'm hoping things go better for him over in Europe, but he definitely he's probably been one of the most successful ones we've had for sure. Number 7, Alejandro Bedoya. I mean, what can you say about Ale? And his leadership amongst everything else, of course, has been top notch. I do hope they bring him back, especially for that reason. But yeah, he's been very reliable in the midfield, and even, at 36 years old, he's still got some good stuff. And as someone who is around his age, I can't even imagine doing what he does. But yeah, future Ring of Honor, absolutely. Number 6, our very own penalty merchant, Daniel Gazdag. I mean, like I've said before, well, you still have to make the penalty. So, but he's been so good, and he sets up so much there. Number 5, Jillian Carranza, and the amount of goals he's scored has been huge. I mean, 2022 obviously was phenomenal, and I think he's just going to keep getting better. Number 4. Now, the top 4 were hard for me to do or so. Well, actually, really the top 5, putting those guys in there. But number 4, one of my personal favorite players, Jose Martinez. Okay, he is crucial. And you see what happens when he's not in a game. He is – I definitely felt there's a huge Jose Martinez-sized hole in the game when he was out on suspension that New England game. But, him scoring goals too. It's like, oh, he actually will make those now. So that's an added threat there on offense. Number 3, of course, Defensive Player of the Year here with Jacob Blessness. I mean, just my mind goes back to like at the DC away game when Andre made the crazy save, and then Jacob's right there, making, clearing the ball there and everything. And that tandem of Andre and Jacob is, fantastic. But yeah, number 2, Kai Wagner. I mean, all his assists, his, his corners, like his set piece, he's been huge, and I'm so glad that we are going to have him, back with us, because he has been key piece the last several years. And number 1, Andre Blake. like you said, Todd, where would we be without Andre? And we know how we are without Andre in there. Mm-hmm. So I don't like to see when we're without Andre there. But especially, here's a guy who, gets drafted by us and just becomes goalkeeper of the year 3 times and has just had this incredible time with us in Philly. And so for me, it was a no-brainer. Andre is my number 1.
Yeah. I think you're going to see some similarities both. I actually have an interesting one for my number 10. Number 10 for me is Kasper Schmeichel. All right.
He was like an honorable mention for me.
He was right there. It was between him and Montero. When you look at overall what he did during that streak, especially in our first Champions League appearance, had a phenomenal tournament. From 2019 up to 2021, he was our goal scorer. Now you can say, yes, Kasper had games where he would totally check out. But at some point, you have to give him credit. He was there and did some very good things. So overall, really excited about that. And then number 9, Jack Elliott. He's not on my list. You could argue maybe where Jacob is and has played and had some bigger games and overall is a better talent. I feel that Jack has done more with less and has grown. And at times is our most consistent, defender. This year maybe not so much, but in years past I would say he was a little bit more consistent at times than Jacob. And then for me, probably, one of our biggest homegrowns to go over at season number 8 would be Brendan Aronson. We just started following the Union when he was kind of hitting his stride in 19. Todd, you hit it on the head. His pressing, his just energy, be able to disrupt. And I agree, we have not been able to find that replacement. And he fits so well in that system and was able to do it. Number 7 for me, Julian Carranza, goes without saying. Number 6 for me is Alejandro Bedoya, our captain. Number 5, we have Jacob Glesnes, defensive MLS Defensive Player of the Year. Number 4, number 2 all-time goal scorer, Daniel Gazdag for me. And then number 3, Jose Martinez, arguably the best central defensive midfielder in MLS, and the game changed when he came on the scene for the Union. I think that's when our defense took that next step. Number 2, Kai Wagner. Todd, I can't say more than what you said about Kai. Just phenomenal defender. And number 1, Andre Blake. What can't you say? He has been the backbone of that defense for so many years. So that's my top 10. I think everybody had a great, interesting list, and I think this is a really cool experiment, just seeing how a lot of us had very similar top 4s.
Yes.
So. And
we did not share ours at all, so
no.
That's cool that our top was the same.
Yes, it was. So, all right, well, that's all the time we have for this quick episode of the One Team We Agree On. Todd, where can people find you?
Super simple, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, The Free Kick. Check out the YouTube account, youtube.com/freekickpod, and The Free Kick's where you find the podcast.
And you can find us at The One Team We Agree On Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And on Twitter, we are at TOTWAG.
And that's all the time we have for The One Team We Agree On. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
And we'll see you live from LA.